There we go. So each one of you will receive a copy of the slides that we're going to present to you today to the email address that you used to register for the event, as well as an information sheet and FAQs for the event. So please don't feel like you've got to scribble for the next 45 minutes or so. Just listen and digest, and hopefully it'll be an informative session for you. On questions, I'd say if you could please pop them into the chat. There's quite a few of us on the call today. So if you put them in the chat, then we'll keep an eye and we'll make sure we raise them at the end. If we don't get time to go through all the questions, we'll absolutely commit to you that we will get back to you individually. But obviously, if there's a point of understanding, pop a virtual hand up and we'll just kind of jump in during the presentation. So do let us know if you need something explained, but otherwise just pop your questions in the chat. Thanks. So to give you an idea of the shape of the next 45 minutes or so, I'll set the scene for 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to hand over to Daniel Houseman. Daniel is Morrisons' Head of Online Operations and Programs, and he'll give an introduction to Morrisons and then give you some details of the deal for kind of 20-25 minutes or so, which should leave about 5 to 10 minutes at the end for questions. And Daniel and his colleague Aruj Akbar, who's been very instrumental in putting together this deal for us, will help answer the questions at the end. So by way of a quick introduction from myself, in my Plunkett role, I have the privilege of talking to community shops nationwide all day long. I love it, but it's from those conversations and producing this Future of Rural Retail report that I know that many community shops have growing challenges related to product supply, delivery, and minimum order levels. And clearly, most shops have a large wholesaler as their key supplier, but then often supplemented by smaller regional or specialist or local suppliers. And as the large wholesalers have become harder to deal with, and in many cases they've withdrawn a delivery service altogether, community shops have definitely evolved their supply base. They're kind of including creative solutions for getting well-priced, varied products into their ranges. And consequently, the vast majority of community shops use some kind of supermarket top-up shop. Some do it discreetly with volunteers just popping out to purchase goods that don't have labels on, maybe like fruit and veg, things like that. Others are much more overt with like an online delivery direct to the shop door, carrying a wide variety of products. And we've heard of many shops getting deliveries to like nearby addresses and then kind of carrying them round to the community shop, not quite in the dead of night, but not entirely sure about how official the arrangement is. But this partnership with Morrisons is on a much more official business-to-business basis. And we're really grateful to Morrisons. They have recognised and formalised the arrangement, and they're offering a business account to community shops, which includes this free delivery pass for year-round deliveries, as well as a Morrisons More card. And clearly Daniel will talk through all the detail of this offer next. What I wanted to do was just give you a feel, because this fantastic deal gives us all the flexibility to extend our ranges a bit without the painful minimum order levels and large case sizes, and obviously all on a delivered basis if we want it, which takes the pressure off our valuable volunteers. And we're really grateful to Morrisons for recognising the challenges that are faced by our network of small rural businesses and really being quite proactive in supporting our sector. So to give a bit of an insight, I thought I'd just share my Appleton shop experience of the top-up shop. It's something we've been doing for years. We spend probably 150, 170 pounds a week on our delivered top-up shop. And there's definitely 6 key reasons why we use that top-up shop supply route. The first one is extending our range while saving space. So we've got a tiny stockroom, as most of you have, and most products are on the shelf. So for example, with something like herbs and spices, I'd rather have just 2 on the shelf of 12 different types of herbs and spices rather than an outer case of 6 of 4 different types. And so with the top-up shop facility, we have the ability to just buy 2, 3 at a time rather than having to buy the full case sizes. And so things like Heinz soups, we buy a pack of 12 tomato tin soups, but we would then supplement it and extend our range by getting veg or minestrone in singles on a top-up shop, just 2, 3 at a time. We also, next one, would avoid waste by not buying full case sizes. So think of products here where you just don't get through a full case before the use-by date. So it's great to have like cheddar and red Leicester in volume in your cheese chiller, but it's a real shame to only stock them. So we would buy goat cheese, halloumi, feta, mozzarella, things that don't sell in the same volume, but really offer us some range credibility. We buy, say, 3 or 4 of each of them weekly. The same with coleslaw, fresh dips, creme fraiche, things like that, many other products where you can really avoid tying up all your cash in stock. And then we probably also use top-up shops as a bit of a service to some of our more vulnerable customers, or those who don't have access to online shopping or transport to go elsewhere. So we order every week a gluten-free loaf for Bridget, bless her, who pops around the corner and collects her gluten-free loaf. We order fresh goat's milk for Gabby, whose son has an allergy to dairy. And so those kind of requests that we get from regulars, we are able to then fulfill those through our top-up shops. I think probably fourthly, we'd also take advantage of promotions. It's always great to buy a few tubs of chocolates at Christmas, where the supermarkets do fantastic deals. We would make the most of 2-for-1 deals on key products. We would buy wine deals when there's a multi-purchase going on, a 6 bottles for a discount. They're really helpful. And obviously the teams at these big supermarkets are able to negotiate with their enormous volumes, to the point where often these can be cheaper than the wholesalers we're dealing with. So really worth taking advantage of those promotions. And Daniel will talk more about the Morrisons More card, which will help with access to those. And then importantly, boring but important, we maintain the chill chain with a top-up shop. So we avoid the kind of Margaret the volunteer loading chilled products into the back of her car and then whizzing back up the hill to the shop scenario. It's great that Margaret does that, but it is a risk to the chill chain, and it does break the chill chain, even if she's kind of, quick in her driving. And the supermarket deliveries just mean that with their temperature controlled vans, they bring stock to your door. And obviously they free up Margaret to go and do something else. And then finally, I'd say that this is an opportunity to bring in difference, making the most of events, really keeping your range moving without having to commit to huge stock. We see the supermarkets doing an amazing job on Easter eggs. We buy panettone at Christmas in our top-up shops. Fabulous to be able to offer that without committing to huge volume. We would piggyback on supermarket sporting event promotions, for example. I mean, market deals are unbeatable. So rather than fight them, we're with them on joining them, basically. So you can see that this ability to buy stock quite flexibly is a real advantage to Appleton and to many, many community shops around the country. And I think what Morrisons have done now is put in place a way for us all to benefit from this service. So I'm now going to hand over to Dan to introduce Morrisons and the delivery pass deal. And then, as I said, if you could pop any questions in the chat, we'll get onto those once Dan's done his presentation. So over to you, Dan. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Laura. And look, on behalf of Morrisons, we're delighted with this partnership. Everything about what Plunkett's doing is absolutely aligned to sort of our DNA and our integrity. What I'm going to just off with is a bit of an overview of Morrisons. I'm going to make the assumption that everyone knows who Morrisons are, but I will just give you a bit of statistics which you may not know. So we're based in Yorkshire. Our head office is still based in Bradford. I'm sat in Bradford as we speak. And we have just celebrated our 125th anniversary as a business. Across the UK, you may have seen almost one of our 500 supermarkets or one of our Morrisons daily stores as well. And we're currently the 5th largest supermarket in the UK. This last bullet point, though, is probably the most interesting, which isn't as well known about Morrisons. So actually, Morrisons are the 2nd largest food manufacturer in the UK. We manufacture over 50% of what we sell in our fresh supermarkets. So it's a real point of difference for Morrisons and for yourselves when you're speaking to your customers about where products are manufactured. And then what we're most proud of is that we are one of the largest buyers from British farmers across the UK. And I believe we're still Britain's biggest direct single customer. We have our own abattoirs. We even have our own fishing boat off Grimsby. And a lot of what we sell are our meat and our fish has been caught potentially that morning or that day, and is then prepared by our butchers and fishmongers throughout our supermarkets. Our CEO is very clear that our counters and our market street is here to stay, and that sort of proposition is something we do offer online. So theoretically, a fish which was caught yesterday would be delivered overnight to one of our supermarkets, prepared by one of our fishmongers in the morning, and then with you in your community-owned shop by that afternoon and sold to your customer and on the plate by dinner time. So I just wanted to highlight that point because it is something which maybe is less known about Morrisons as a supermarket. So I'll just give a bit of an overview of what business to business is and why we sort of started it. We did a lot of listening to customers over the last year or so, and really what Laura was telling us is sort of started with is what customers and small businesses across the UK were telling us, which is from a wholesale perspective, they're able to order in huge bulk quantities, but a lot of the time that isn't what they needed as a business, and actually they required maybe smaller volumes, or they required a larger range, or they required a bit of a more immediate service. Currently, across our online range, we have around 30,000 unique SKUs, which are some are branded, some are Morrison's own branded. And what you can do with our service is you can order just one of those items, or you can order up to 36 of the same product. As Laura sort of started with, there's a huge advantage here to your businesses. It allows you to stock that one goat's cheese or that one feta, or if there's a last minute heat wave, which we're all hoping for, it allows you to get that last minute barbecue food into your supermarket, which maybe you hadn't forecast with your wholesaler. From a minimum spend point of view, we do have a minimum spend, and I'll be really transparent about that from the off. That's a minimum spend of £25, and that does allow us to pay for our drivers at a fair and equitable rate, which I'm sure you'll all appreciate. So that's essentially what business to business is. From a benefits point of view, we cover 97% of Great Britain postcodes. We have, as I said, 497 stores across the UK, and we also have central fulfillment centres both in Tamworth, Midlands, and also across the south of the country. As sort of we've discussed, there's no limit on how many items you order, as long as you are spending up to that £25 amount. So if you choose to order one item of goat's cheese, one item of Parmesan, and one item of cheddar, you absolutely can. I hope you choose to order more, but you absolutely can do that as long as it hits that sort of £25 threshold. And what we are doing exclusively for Plunkett, and what we've worked really hard with Laura on is we're going to offer a free delivery pass to anyone through Plunkett who sign up for this scheme. So essentially what that means is you can order your delivery absolutely for free. So it will be delivered. There will be no delivery charge on top of what you're ordering. And to put that in perspective, our delivery slots go from £1.50 at unsociable hours to £8 at peak times. So the amount of money you'll be saving for your business on a daily and weekly basis is significant, and that's really thanks to the hard work which Laura and the team have put in to provide for the Plunkett community. Laura also touched on the More Card loyalty scheme. Hopefully everyone here has a More Card, but I don't think that's probably going to be correct. The Morrisons More Card is essentially our loyalty card for our customers. And what that gives you is even better pricing on some of our already excellent pricing. And then the final bit, which I did touch on at the beginning, is our Market Street. And we've got a commitment across our business to really ensure that we continue, as Morrisons, being known for that Market Street feel, which many of you will know from going into Morrisons, and really focus on those fresh products which we sell. So if we just go on to the next slide, Aruj is briefly going to talk about how you can set up and register to be a business-to-business customer with us.
Brilliant, thanks Dan. So as Laura sort of alluded to at the beginning of the call, we have created a specific one-pager for your community rural shops to sort of make it a little bit easier when navigating how to order online. So as you can see on the screen, how to set up as a business-to-business customer, which would then get you that free delivery pass. All you need to do is complete our Google form. I've made it really simple. I've not put too many questions in, and we've sort of listened and responded to previous customers on how we can sort of make that process a little bit easier. So you'd complete the Google form. We'd prefer you to give us an order frequency and a typical order so we can sort of prepare your volumes in advance. And then I would then request your customer account to be added to our business group. We have a usual ETA of around 5 days, but as of recent, we've been turning this around quite quickly. So you could fill that Google form in this morning and I can get you set up by the end of the day. And in terms of how to place the order, very simple. You'd go onto our morrisons.com website. You'd sign in with your business account. So I would recommend each rural shop to sort of have their own business account with a business email, just to make it a little bit easier so you're distinguishing any orders that are going to your shop or to your house, because we can only provide that free delivery pass for your business email. And then once you've logged in, you'd browse the website, you'd place an order by adding products in your basket, which we'll touch upon a little bit later in terms of what our platform can offer. Then once your order has been finalised, you'd proceed to the checkout section of the website where your free delivery pass will automatically apply. Now, if you do have any issues with it not applying, which we don't foresee, more than happy for you to contact us directly so we can get that rectified. But based off of previous customers, and I can see that quite a few of you have already registered for the free delivery pass. We've turned it around quite quickly and we've had no issues from that point. So that's just really high level view on how you'd register as a customer and then how you'd place an order. And equally, we'll share this document out after, and we've also shared the one pager as well.
And I think the key bit there, Aruj, is the more you work with us, and Aruj is joining us for this call as she is the account manager at the moment for Laura, and is working with Laura. So if there are challenges, if there are products which we're having shortages across in the business, we can make sure that the more notice you give us, we can work with our chain teams into stores and really work with you on those bespoke orders which you may have in mind. So if you do have those customers with special dietary requirements, that's exactly what our sort of account management function is there to support you with, so that you can best run your shop and focus on running your shop rather than running out to the supermarket to get some last minute items. We'll just quickly touch on what the website looks like, and look, this will be a really high level overview, but there's a lot of things which you can be looking out for. As Laura referenced, we have some fantastic offers and prices, everything from price matching to some of our competitors, to some of our Market Street range as well, which is always highlighted for you. Across the site at you can browse the shop and you can look at key events we have. So when we have large football events, as what's going on at the moment, or we'll sometimes do some great offers around that, or it could be events around the season. So at the moment we have our summer shop live, so a lot of barbecue foods, a lot of condiments which go with that. We have things like our back to school events, and we also have events around cleaning products, for example, because we know actually at this time of the year is the time when everyone decides to sort out their house in preparation for the kids going back to school. If we just pop onto to the next slide, so this is just a bit more on the Morrisons More card. So as I sort of referenced, it gives you access to some of our stronger prices exclusively for our more card customers. What's also important is every if you do register for more card, and by the way, registering for more card is free. Every pound and point you earn gets converted to fivers, which is £5, which you can then spend again in our supermarkets, and you can spend those both in store and online. There's lots of things on the app. I know some of you will have the app and will be already clear on some of the benefits of it, but it's a fantastic opportunity as well to really get some of the best promotions for your supermarket. I'll just quickly touch on some FAQs. There may be some questions coming in, and as we referenced, we will answer any questions at the end. But do you have to pay to join the service? No. We really believe in building this partnership, and that delivery pass will be free. It does need to be used for business, as Arouge referenced. But no, there will be no cost. The cost will be the cost of the goods you're purchasing. Can you choose your own delivery day and time? Yes. Again, it's dependent on availability in your area, but at the moment we have over 1 million delivery slots available every single week, so there is a lot of availability across Great Britain. One of the things I'd always suggest is to place your order in advance to make sure you are guaranteeing that delivery slot. And what you'll tend to find, and Laura may have found this as well, is you'll start recognizing the same drivers who are consistently coming to your shop. So they'll start understanding exactly how you want your order delivered, and they'll work with you, and they'll become almost extensions of your business. So they'll know exactly where they want you to park. Do you want them to park right out front? Do you want them to go around the back? They'll absolutely work with you on that to make it as easy as possible for you. The vans it's delivered on are slightly larger than a Ford Focus, but it's not an LGV or HGV. So we have no problem going down these small country lanes. It is just a slightly larger than a standard Ford Transit van. As I did reference, there is a minimum spend of £25. We do have a small order fee on anything under £40. That again is just to ensure that we can keep the whole business moving. Category point of view, you can. Our delivery vans are either have a chilled component or they have a frozen component as well. So from keeping your chill chain and keeping your customers safe, when it arrives at your door, it will be at temperature. Can you order in single units and not cases? Yes. In fact, you can only order in single units. And you can only order up to a maximum quantity of 36 per item. That's standard across the whole of online and also the in-store as well. It's really important that we make sure that we're protecting all customers. And sometimes when some of our offers come in, like the buy 6, save 25% on bottles of wine, it's really important that we ensure that there is enough availability across the estate so that you can guarantee you can get what you have ordered. And then how often do you have to order? We're not going to set a frequency. We're not going to set any demands on how often we want you ordering. Obviously, I'd love you to order as much as possible. But you can order from us once, and then you can order from us 3 months later, and we won't hold you to it at all. The one caveat is we can only fulfill one order per business day, and so we wouldn't be able to do a multiple of orders every single day. I hope that makes sense. We've sort of flown through a lot of information there. Hopefully, a lot of it you were really clear on already. And apologies if I've gone over grounds which you did know. What I'll do is I'll pass over to Laura to see if there's any questions or any clarity required.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Dan and Aruj. Great little whiz through, and hopefully that's clearly outlined the offer to you all. Just a reminder that we will send out a recording of the session. We'll also send out the information sheet that Aruj has put together. This slide of FAQs is just half a dozen of a couple of pages of FAQs. So there's a really thorough briefing document that we'll make sure we share with you all. Do you want to just stop the screen share now, Aruj, and then we can pop some questions to you? We've got a few that are coming in. Thank you so much to both of you for that information. So Nick is saying, please can you clarify no delivery charge even on the £25 minimum order, and what is the small order fee? So I think that one's clear, but do you want to just reiterate that, Aruj or Dan?
Yeah, so between £25 and £40, we put a small order delivery fee. That's the cost of us picking and packing. Above £40, again, to be really transparent, it's more efficient to pick. But to confirm, no, there's no delivery charge.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's spot on. We've got another question saying, please confirm the online account can be created in the shop's name with the shop's email and contact details. And I think the answer to that one is a definite yes.
100%, we prefer that.
Brilliant, thank you. This particular group have several purchasing teams who might use different options currently, and they might want to just use the service. So one account really makes sense. That is absolutely good with you, isn't it? I mean, this is officially business to business, yeah? Great. Then we have Jane asking, does the offer include alcohol and cigarettes?
It absolutely does. You'll find with things like more card pricing, you'll tend to find less promotions. We need to make sure we are legally compliant on all of that, as I'm sure everyone appreciates.
Yeah, of course. How do you do with the kind of, I think Paul is asking, how do you do with honouring the slots that have been booked? So in terms of deliveries, is it quite reliable that if we book a Wednesday between 10 and 11, we get a Wednesday between 10 and 11?
Yeah. So if you've booked that slot, apart from the Plunkett sort of community, customers will have paid for that slot. So it's really important for us that it's delivered in that time slot. What we'd always ask our drivers to do and our team to do, give you a call if they are running behind to let you know if there's any issues. We can't control every single road in UK. Occasionally there are some challenges, but we'd always ask our drivers to give you a call. The same if we're running early as well. We know early deliveries can be as annoying as late deliveries. So if we can get to you early, we would let you know.
Fab. I think what we've found is that booking some kind of mid-morning or mid-afternoon slot means for us at Appleton that because we're open a couple of hours before the slot's due, and certainly we'll be open for a couple of hours afterwards, we're perfectly happy to take the order when it comes. And so we have great communication, either early or late, although the vast majority would be within the time slot. But obviously we do have the flexibility as shops that are mostly open for most of the day to be able to take early or late deliveries. All good. Jane is asking, are in-store promotions honoured? How does that work? Is there a separate online promotions that's different to in-store promotions?
We'll always match. I think 99% of promotions which are in-store, you'll also find online. There may be some reasons why products aren't online. It could be contractual obligations with a supplier, for example. I'll also just maybe make note to this. There are some products we can't sell online because of the size of the product. So just for reference, we can't fit a mop in a tote. So again, just to be really transparent, you won't find garden furniture online because it doesn't fit within our delivery vans at current state.
Great, totally get that. Also worth mentioning at this point that this also does cover click and collect service. So if you would, for some reason, prefer to go to store to collect your product, this also, the business to business relationship and the account would also cover you to do click and collect. So that one, again, is included in the information sheet. And Nick is saying, as business to business, do we pay your cost or your RRP prices? And well, I'll leave you to answer that one, Dan or Aruj.
The question is, do you pay our cost or our RRPs and what we sell to customers?
Your retail, I guess your retail prices.
Yeah, we sell at our retail prices. As Laura referenced, a lot of the prices we sell will be cheaper than your potentially your wholesale price anyway. The reason for the same prices, we're not asking you to buy in quantities or cases. So it could be more expensive at times. So again, I'll always be really transparent. But at the same time, there's the flexibility of being able to order one or two.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And just to echo that, I feel that the vast majority of our top-up stock either falls into the category that Daniel just talked about, where actually, shockingly, it's comparable or sometimes better than a wholesale price. I also feel that we use it a lot for products that just don't have a clear price perception. People are not going to know on nutmeg or cinnamon whether it's a 125 and 99p, a 135 or a 145 price point. So we have done a lot of careful margin balancing on this stuff to be able to sell these extended ranges to really enhance our offer whilst making sure that we maintain margins. I mean, horseradish, we just cannot get through 8 horseradishes even before the horseradish date goes out. And so we buy 2 or 3, 4 at a time on a top-up shop basis. And we've discovered that no one knows how much horseradish is. If you've got beef in the oven and you want to bomb around to the community shop to go and get some horseradish because you haven't got any, you're going to pay 145, 55 or 65 without having a clear price perception. And so we are very careful about the products that are very obvious in terms of pricing, and people have a clear idea of how much that product should be. Often those are the basic bulk stuff that we get in full cases, to be honest, from our wholesalers. And I find my experience has been over the years of doing this, that predominantly the products that you use on top-up shops will either be extremely competitively priced already or not have a clear price perception, so you can tweak your margins accordingly. Anna, does the delivery address have to be the business address?
Yes, it does. It would need to be the shop location. What we've seen in the past is we've seen, unfortunately, some individuals trying to work on with Plunkett is this is for your community and your business.
Absolutely. And we would entirely echo that. We would work with Morrisons to make sure that if we see any abuse of this in terms of personal use, then we would just delist that customer, having obviously spoken to you beforehand. But we entirely commit that this is a partnership that we want to last, and we don't want it to be abused. So absolutely, yep, delivery address would be your business address, and clearly stock strictly for your business. Will we receive a VAT receipt, says Kate?
So for VAT receipts, it's a good question because we get it from quite a few business customers that are already using us. So part of the wider solution, we've got invoicing going live. So we're potentially forecasting that to go live at the end of this year, and VAT receipts will be picked up a part of that. Currently on your online receipt, it won't be in the form of a VAT receipt. But if you've got any questions specifically for your shop that you need to work through, please email our account. And like I say, we've got an existing wholesale business, so there'll be something we can sort of potentially support with, but we'd have to review that on a case-by-case, shop-by-shop basis. But it's definitely on our agenda as we're promoting a business-to-business scheme. VAT receipts are coming up more and more often, and appreciate you guys will need them at one point. So it's definitely on our agenda, and I'm happy to take any specific examples away as well to work through.
Thanks, Aruj. Obviously, the vast majority of the product aren't vatable, but we can claim back VAT as community shops. So there is a point there which would be really interesting to kind of keep the shops updated on. And obviously, we'll commit to update all of you via the Plunkett communication channels as progress is made on that front. Are you happy for shops to sell Morrisons own brand items?
So we'd have to look at that on a case by case basis. We do it through wholesale. So again, to be really transparent, if you go to some of our larger wholesale customers, and these are customers who are buying cases for our wholesale business, then we do. I think it will be what we'd ask is have a look at our range, let us know exactly what it is you're looking to sell, and then we can work with you on, okay, well, this is what our expectations are from a Morrisons brand or point of view. But I think that's again a question which can come through to us, and we can work with you on.
Yep, thank you very much. Paula didn't pick up what the small order fee was. The small order fee is £3 if you're ordering between £25 of goods and £40 of goods, and beyond that there is no order fee. Tracy, is business accounts a new concept? Will it provide priority service in a pandemic situation? Oh, Tracy, no.
We'll all pray for not that situation again. But to your question, is it a new service? Yes, it is a new service. We've launched it really recently. What we were again finding, and as I sort of said in part of the conversation, is small businesses, not just community shops, nurseries, local schools, all of those type of businesses were saying to us, look, we just can't fulfill wholesale requirements. Hence why we're now looking at this service wider. What I'd suggest, we can't prioritize specific businesses, but we don't have a problem with slot availability at the moment. So please do book your slots in advance. You can edit your baskets up to 24 hours before delivery. So even if you do book your slot and maybe put a couple of items in, and then closer to the time you decide to edit your basket, your slot will remain. So that's always my advice, is get your slot booked, and then you can always edit your basket. I think it just goes into my other point though of the more notice you can give us on what you're planning on order and work with Aruj and her team, the better we can do to fulfill your needs and what your customers need.
That's a really good top tip, and it's exactly what we've found at Appleton. So we tend to book our next lot literally the day that we've received our delivery. We would book the next week's lot, and we put in our basket our common weekly products that we tend to kind of order on a very regular basis. Pop those in the basket to get the basket going, and then it's just so lovely being able to add to the basket as, bless her, Bridget comes in and says, actually, can I have 2 loaves of gluten-free sliced bread today? You can lob them in the basket as you go. But in terms of availability, it clearly really helps to get your kind of main basket sorted as early as possible, and then tweak it up to the deadline before the delivery. How about shelf life? Is there a risk that we'll have kind of stuff that comes in, particularly the chilled stuff, which we have to sell within 24 hours, for example?
So there's probably two answers to that question. I think the first is we have a minimum guaranteed life on products which we sell online, and you'll always be able to see on the Morrisons website exactly what that minimum guaranteed product life is, and it can be from 24 hours, and I'll touch on what product that is, up until a couple of weeks. It depends on the product. The one product which is 24 hours is our made in store donuts, because they just don't last longer. But that's I suppose an aside. I think the other point is, if your driver turns up and you're unhappy with any of the products, you can reject those products, and you can if you do reject them, you will just get refunded on them. So if something turns up and you're not happy with the quality and you don't want it stocked in your store, there's no obligation for you to take it. You just turn around to your driver and say, I don't want this product, and it'll be refunded to you.
And sorry, Laura, just to touch on Dan's point, if you do have any feedback from your first few shops, whether it's you're not getting the item you want, whether it's short-dated products and you might not be getting enough traction going through the channels yourself, please do reach out to our business email. We're here to support. We're here to give that sort of special service to you guys from a business perspective to ensure that your order is on time and in full.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Aruj. And again, just to let you know that obviously all those contact details are on our information sheet, which we'll be sending out to you all afterwards. So a couple then of confirmations. Obviously, the VAT receipt thing is an important point. We'll come back to that and clarify that for you all. Philippa, quick one. Can you shop in store with a business account? So yes on that one. And do you get a physical More card to do that, or is it an electronic one? How does that work?
You can get a physical More card. What I probably say is the app is better because you can see how many points you're collecting. You can see what offers are on. It regularly updates as well. So I would recommend the app. You can get a physical More card as well by requesting one. But I would recommend the app because it's an easier way to see how many points you're collecting, which offers you've got.
Yeah, and I think we've got both because it's quite handy having a physical card in the shop. If there's a number of different volunteers who are popping out to pick things up or whatever, it can be really helpful to be able to then use a physical More card. But yes, also the app means that clearly that you can then keep track of what's going on. Quick, another question from Paul. Is this a trial by Morrisons, or does it have, is it here to stay? Is this a longevity thing? I think thinking of talking to other suppliers and saying, sorry, we're gonna withdraw in favour of this. Is that a risk for us?
It's here to stay. We've been working with businesses. Obviously, we've had a wholesale business for 5 years within Morrisons. We've been working with some nurseries and schools for the last 5 years since the unfortunately the pandemic. It is here to stay. What we're really trying to do now is work with larger groups like yourselves, where we know we can really make an impact. So it's absolutely here to stay as long as we've got a Morrisons business.
Great, thank you. We'll wrap up pretty soon because we're on the last minute there, but Nick's just asked a final question. Is there a risk that if there's not enough Plunkett UK members who kind of join up, is there a risk that you would kind of pull the deal? Is there a danger in only a few signing up? We have seen, I just need to say, some great interest in this. We already have some shops that have signed up, I think, Aruj. I have 70 shops that have registered their interest. Clearly there's 42 of us on the call today. So I am really encouraged by the numbers, but over to you, Dan and Aruj, for your views on that.
No, there isn't a risk. If one Plunkett member decides to sign up, then we've committed to Plunkett, then that we'll honour that. There is no minimum. So, we'd really appreciate any feedback. And if you decide to use, and then for some reason don't use us, please get in touch with Aruj or myself and let us know.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm going to wrap up with a comment from Philippa saying a big thank you to Morrisons. Oh, sorry. I'm going to wrap up with a comment from Philippa saying a big thank you to Morrisons for doing this. It's a huge benefit to smaller shops, and I would totally echo that. I really am grateful for it. I do need to, as I wrap up, just point out that this is, the vast majority of people on this call are Plunkett members. This is a member deal. So there are probably a handful of shops here whose memberships have lapsed or whatever. And so we will just need to get in touch with you directly to make sure that you are eligible for the deal. But it is a real pleasure to be working with you. Thanks, Morrisons. And thank you to you all for attending the webinar. And yes, an email will indeed be sent for you to sign up. Aruj has put that email together, so we will make sure we send that out to you soon. So thanks again. Yes, the questions not answered will be covered in the email at the end. Absolutely, Nick. But for now, we'll sign off. And thanks to Dan and Aruj, and have a good Wednesday. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.